Welcome back, everyone, to the GDFL podcast, hosted by yours truly, the reigning league champion, Andrew Korn. Joining me today is the 2024 league champion, Levi Hubbard. Hello, Levi.
Hello, Corn. Hello, boys.
Yeah, you might be thinking, it's April. Why are we recording a podcast? Well, Levi and I wanted to do a little mock draft of the 2026 GDFL draft, maybe to get some thoughts going, maybe spice some things up around the league, or just share our thoughts in general. There's no real purpose behind this other than we just wanted to record a podcast.
Building up some buzz.
Oh yeah, building up some buzz. All right. That's not what I meant to have there. So before we dive into it, just to look at a little bit of the landscape of what's happened this offseason, we include some transactions at all four positions in our league of some of the biggest moves that might affect fantasy this upcoming season. Malik Willis to the Dolphins is the biggest quarterback contract. Oh, I guess Daniel Jones staying with the Colts was a bigger quarterback contract, but Malik Willis to the Dolphins is like the biggest mover of a quarterback to a new team. Kirk Cousins signed with the Raiders, and allegedly the plan is for him to start all of this year. Will that happen? Who knows? I mean, I guess no, but we'll see. We also have Kyler Murray to the Vikings on a one-year deal and Tua to the Falcons on a one-year deal. Both of them will be fighting for the starting jobs. And Kyler, I'm almost certain, will beat out JJ McCarthy. I'm guessing Tua beats out Penix, but that one I'm not as certain about. I have a feeling he's going to be a starter, though. Yeah, Daniel Jones to the Colts, and then Geno Smith to the Jets. Looking at this slide, that's a whole lot of Levi quarterbacks moving teams this offseason.
It is, and I'm thrilled. I didn't know where Gino was going to go where I got him, but for a second round pick, I'm happy to have a starting quarterback. My Kyler investment, at least from what we're seeing now, I think it's going to pay off. And then Tua's kind of the wild card, but if he plays, I feel really good about that. But even with all that, I think Logan's the biggest winner just because Malik Willis got such a good deal and, clearly they're going with him as their guy.
Yeah, yeah, no, great for Malik Willis, great for Logan. I know Logan doesn't listen, but might be a good idea for Logan to trade one of his quarterbacks between Love, Purdy, or Willis. Maybe there's gonna be an interested buyer out there who's willing to send Logan some help at running back or receiver. So that'd be something to keep an eye on in the GDFL. At running back, there was a lot more signings that happened than just this. These are the ones I think will be the most fantasy relevant. Rico Dowdle signed with the Steelers. David Montgomery was traded to the Texans. Chris Rodriguez signed with the Jags. J.K. Dobbins re-signed with the Broncos. Kenneth Walker signed with the Chiefs. Javonte Williams re-signed with the Cowboys. Rashad White went to the Commanders. Travis Etienne went to the Saints. Actually, it's Travis Etienne went to the Saints. And Tyler Algier to the Cardinals. So, yeah, and there's some pretty big contracts on here with like Travis, and then K9 Dobbins got a pretty good deal. And then like the Rashad White one, I mean his contract is pretty much nothing, but that Commanders running back room looks wide open right now. So it's hard to say exactly what's going to happen there.
If nothing else, he'll probably be the pass catching back.
Yeah, like they Bill's still there, obviously. I mean, I'm not super high on Bill, but I mean between him, Rashad White, I know Jerome Ford signed there this offseason too. They brought back Jeremy McNichols. They also drafted someone which we might touch upon later. Commanders running back room, there's going to be value there. Just don't know what it is today. But yeah, I mean for the most part, Chris Rodriguez to the Jags might be sneaky good. He might be getting a lot of the goal line work and some of the early down work there. Rico Dowdle to the Steelers, I think, might end up being he might be the starter there this year over Jalen Warren. That'll be another initiative to keep an eye on.
hmm I think ETN or A Chain is the big value bump, but I think, Chaz having K9 on the Chiefs is two thumbs up, man. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest. I mean, him being Super Bowl MVP certainly helps. But yeah, that's probably like the biggest value raise of all of them is going to the Chiefs. Even if Mahomes is missing some of the year, just like being on that Chiefs offense is going to be great for his hopefully fantasy season on top of his value.
And good for them.
And good for them. Yeah, they desperately needed a running back. Pacheco wasn't it. The corpse of Kareem Hunt wasn't it. So. Receiver, most of the big ones here are trades with a few free agent signings. The big trades that happened, DJ Moore to the Bills, Michael Pittman to the Steelers, and then Jalen Waddle to the Broncos. Biggest free agent contract signed was Alec Pierce staying with the Colts. He's now a top 10 paid receiver in the league. He got T. Higgins money. Just absolutely mind-boggling to me. And then Wan'Dale Robinson, Romeo Dobbs, Mike Evans all got decent contracts. Nothing crazy for receiver money nowadays, but still good. Rashid Shaheed signed a pretty big contract extension with the Seahawks. He actually got more than Kenneth Walker did, which I think might have been a mistake.
Mm.
Probably would have kept K9 over Rashid Shaheed, but what do I know? And then, yeah, I wasn't going to originally include it, but after seeing the Raiders added no receivers to the draft, Jalen Naylor to the Raiders might end up being fantasy relevant this year. So, yeah, most of these are like second tier receivers or lower for the most part who are moving around, but nonetheless, like still will have some fancy implications.
Yeah, nothing major stands out to me. I mean, most of these guys will maintain their value. I think Waddle going to the Broncos has the biggest rippling effect, but he himself, I don't know that he necessarily like goes up or down by a wide margin.
Yeah, like the one I think will be the biggest upgrade for fantasy is DJ Moore to the Bills, just because like that Bills receiver room was pretty putrid, and he was in a very crowded Bears receiving room. So like if I had like the highest expectations for one of these guys, it's probably DJ Moore. But yeah, there's nothing too crazy here. Like Pittman on the Steelers, I think is a great fit on paper. We also don't know who the Steelers quarterback is right now.
Hmm.
So, and no, I really like Mike Evans to the 49ers too. Like they had a pretty big hole at receiver. Like I think Pearsall was going to be their number one had they not signed him. I mean, Ayuk is still technically on the team, but don't really know if he might be on this list before the season starts going to the Commanders. But
Mhm.
yeah, some good contracts here. Tight end, nothing too crazy. The biggest ones are Isaiah Likely to the Giants and then Chico Conco to the Commanders. Both got starting tight end money. Cade Otton signed a pretty decent extension with the Bucks. Kelsey signed a pretty big extension with the Chiefs when I thought he was going to retire. So
Is it fully guaranteed? Are there any cut years?
I would have to look again. I think
Okay,
it's really only like 1 year guaranteed for Kelsey.
gotcha.
And so I think it is a bit of a fake contract to some extent, but I mean, it's nonetheless like showing interest in playing still, which, hey, good for Jake for holding on to him all these years.
Absolutely.
So then look at the NFL draft. This isn't every draft pick of every position. Uh, the big ones at quarterback, though, Mendoza went one to the Raiders. And the more surprising one is Ty Simpson went at 13 to the Rams. They drafted the replacement for Stafford when they could have drafted a win now player to that team. So yeah, that's the one that's most intriguing to me of decisions made in the draft. I don't know how you feel, Levi.
It definitely had a big impact because I saw that Sean Payton didn't look too happy about it. I wasn't a Ty Simpson guy, and I didn't think he'd go nearly that high. I figured he'd probably go into the first. Um, but I know he's only played so many snaps, and that matters at the position. But at the same time, going that high, it reminds me of when guys like Bo Nix and Penix and McCarthy all went in that late.
Really?
I think they all went before 11, but up to 11.
I think those guys were all between like 8 and 12. So like around the
Yep,
same spot where
gotcha.
Simpson was just drafted, again, I mean that quarterback class was a lot deeper too. But
True, but I remember thinking those guys would go so much later,
yep, yep.
right? Yeah.
I remember, yeah, I thought like all the buzz all week leading up to their draft was like the Jets or the Cardinals are going to trade into the back half of the first round to take Simpson. And yeah,
Mm.
that was like, yeah, when we were playing Fortnite, that was like the really big
Oh,
surprise when
yeah.
saw that one pop up on the screen was oh fuck, Ty Simpson to the Rams. Yeah, that
I
one
don't think it has any impact on Stafford this year.
no, I and realistically it could be like if Stafford just won MVP, like it could be the Aaron Rodgers route where it's 3 years before that pick finally pays off for him. So yeah, that's absolutely gonna be one to keep an eye on though. Running back, here's a list of every running back drafted this year. So last year, I think I saw a tweet. There was 25 running backs drafted, and this year it's 13. So significantly less running backs are drafted this year. I think a lot of that's going to have to do with NIL moving forward. Is that like these guys, like especially after the first round, probably are getting more money in NIL money than they are being a mid-round draft pick, at least for like 1 year. So I wouldn't be too shocked if we're going to see some trends of guys staying in, especially at running back, guys staying in college longer. But two first-round running backs, Jeremiah Love went three to the Cardinals. Jadarian Price went 32 to the Seahawks. That was the other like big surprise. I'd seen that mocked a few times, so like there was definitely some buzz there. That was one where I was like not really willing to believe it till I saw it though.
I
Where
was in the same camp.
yeah, it's like he was like it wasn't even like those two were in a committee. Like Price was like pretty strictly Love's backup at Notre Dame. So like, I think that was like the most shocking part of that one to me. And also Kalen Black being RB3 in this class, he was not invited to the combine. So for him to be RB3 was pretty shocking. I know like his RAS score was like 9, which is pretty good. But yeah, that was another one that's kind of shocking. But yeah, most of these other running backs are all of them are day three picks after that. So if you wanted a running back in this rookie draft, might not be the class for you.
Not like last year.
Yeah.
Price will be the big mystery wild card now, but it's hard to argue with being a first round running back.
hmm Yeah, and that's definitely yeah, definitely not last year when we had like two, yeah, I mean it was still two in the first, but then Judkins, Travion, RJ Harvey all in the second, and even
Mhm.
more in like the third and fourth rounds went than this. So yeah, definitely interesting to see how this shakes out in our draft. If you want a receiver, though, there were plenty of receivers taken in this draft. We saw five go in the first round, including Tate at 4 and Tyson at 8, and then Mekhi Lemon went at 20. Concepcion went at 24 to the Browns. Cooper went 30 to the Jets. And then three in the second round of Stribling, Boston, Bernard. And then there's a bunch in the third and fourth rounds. So if you want a receiver, this is the draft class for you, as there are plenty of options here to a lot of different teams.
I don't have much to add. I haven't paid enough attention to the receivers in this class, but I did think it was interesting that the Browns went with one in the first round and the second round.
hmm
I think it was a good move too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the Browns receiver room needed some work. No, what was really interesting to me was the Eagles. I will get to it on the next slide. Went Mekhi Lemon and Eli Stowers. The Browns went Concepcion and Boston. The Jets took Kenyon Sadiq and Omar Cooper. Like all the teams that took all the skill possession players early also have a teammate who they also took early this year. And in the case with Lemon on the Eagles, they also still have AJ Brown under contract, which everyone's assuming he's going to be traded to the Patriots at this point. But yeah, they're all joining some crowded rooms here. At least like, or at least have another rookie teammate join the mix too. Then at tight ends, a lot of tight ends taken. I know a lot of these guys are blocking tight ends. I couldn't tell you which ones from this list are and aren't, but I know Kenyon Sadiq and Eli Stowers were two pretty big fantasy relevant players going here. I'm pretty sure this guy, the Jags, Nate Borkersher, had like 20 catches in college and is pretty strictly a blocking tight end. Someone can draft him though if you want. I'm just maybe giving you some free advice, maybe don't.
Could be a lie.
It could be a lie. I know some of these guys though had like no receptions in college. Probably wouldn't be worth it. But yeah, that's I think some of the like part of that larger trend in the NFL of teams just running more two and three tight end sets these days. Teams are
Mhm.
going back to bully ball off tight ends. So yeah, a lot of teams were taking tight ends this year. How many are fantasy relevant? Who knows?
I've heard good things about Stowers. I would gamble too.
Oh, I saw Stowers was a quarterback, I think ranked higher than Jackson Dart in Jackson Dart's college class, which I thought was interesting. Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, Sadiq got really good draft capital at 16. I also think he ran like a 4.39 40.
Mm,
So for a tight end,
that's really good.
yeah, like I don't know his exact height, but that size and speed is almost Calvin Johnson-esque at tight end position. So that'll be an interesting one to see who takes him.
Hmm.
Without further ado, we have our mock draft. So in order, Levi, you have the 101 right now. Shrew has two, Ryan has three, Logan has four, Jake has five, Beans has six, Shrew has seven, Jess has eight, Sokol has nine, Shrew has 10, then Beans has both 11 and 12. So we both have Jeremiah Love going one to you. Don't think that's any surprise there. He just went three in the NFL draft. He's a running back. Pretty safe bet to be the best fantasy producer out of this class.
I can't tell you who will be making this pick. But if it is me, I certainly will have no issue there's no question in my mind. And if it isn't me, I can guarantee you it's still going to be Love.
hmm Yeah, the only way I think that would change is if like he tore his ACL in the preseason or
Yeah,
something
that's true.
like I think then maybe that could change it, but we'll have to see. I'm not on wood. Hopefully that doesn't happen. We both have Shrew taking Carnell Tate, which I think he could take Tate here. I also wouldn't be shocked if he takes Mendoza. I'm not sure how Shrew feels about his quarterback room. Like on paper, Caleb Williams and CJ Stroud are nice. Depends on how he feels about Stroud, I suppose. But the possibility of a Mendoza Bauer stack, I'm sure could be interesting to Shrew too.
Yeah, and that he does have two quarterbacks. He could use Mendoza. I have the same logic as you. I'm just really impressed with Tate going top five. I really didn't think he would. And I think he looks good on paper. So he's my wide receiver one of this class.
Yeah, I mean OSU receiver going top five, both of those are pretty safe bets. And who knows? Maybe Shrew does have a QB3. He has Deshaun Watson on his team. Who knows if he wins
Oh,
that?
true.
He could
Yeah.
win. He could win that quarterback battle in theory. I don't want to rule him out quite yet. Who knows what the Browns are going to do? But yeah, I think Carnell Tate's a pretty safe bet here. So then here at 3 and 4, I have Ryan taking Tyson. You have him taking Mendoza. Then I have Logan taking Mendoza, and you had Ryan taking Tyson. So I'm just curious, like, why you think Ryan would take Mendoza here?
I think Ryan would because much like Shrew, he only has well, I guess Shrew has Watson, right? But Ryan has two quarterbacks, uh, and not much for depth after that. But differently than Shrew, I really like Ryan's flex. So this 102 to 105 is a pretty flat tier for me, and it's more need based. And I just think Mendoza's a better fit for Ryan. I don't know. Ryan might not like Mendoza. Ryan might really like Mendoza. I'm kind of just looking at his roster and plugging a hole.
Yeah, that's why I have him taking Tyson though. Like I'm
Yeah.
again, like a lot of Ryan's team right now is like good on paper, but like a lot of it's they're all still young and like it's just like all upside and it's not necessarily as much proven production. Because like between Ted and Nagbuka and Roma Dunze, like that's a pretty solid wide receiver trio. It's just like nothing that's been like difference making in fantasy yet. But again, those guys were all super young.
Hmm.
And then he has Hampton, who again had a good fantasy season when he played, but he also was injured a lot of the season. So it's like hard to say like yeah, all four of those guys are like locked and loaded studs. Like all four of them definitely could be. It's just are they? They probably will be. Some of them at least will be.
Some for sure, but I think you can go either way with Ryan.
Yeah.
And at that, Logan too.
Well, Logan's a tough one because we have no Logan's not made any picks pretty much ever.
True.
Like I think when I was doing one of the podcasts in the fall, like I think Logan's made like 3 or 4 draft picks total, and only one of them was before the fourth round, maybe the third round. So it's like he took Rashid Rice at the end of the second once, and that was about the extent of Logan's draft history. Who knows what Logan's gonna do? I mean, same with Ryan here for that matter. Like if they think either of them think Mendoza's best player available, take Mendoza. If they think Tyson's best player available, take Tyson. And going receiver at 8,
Hmm.
hard to hard to argue that it's also probably a pretty safe pick when you take a receiver that early.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So here for Jake at 5, I have him taking Makai Lemon. You have him taking Jadarian Price. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on Price?
Just comes down to what Jake considers to be his biggest need. If I add his team, it'd be Price. If you added, it'd be Lemon. But I like Price going round one. I don't know. I think his ceiling is potentially Kenneth Walker stepping in with Charbonnet out to start the season. But he really could be Clyde Edwards-Helaire too. And so far that storyline matches, but I haven't seen him on field enough to pretend like I know. Um, I just think it's a really good landing spot with great capital. And Kamara might play. But other than him, Scat's Jake's only real running back to speak of. But you really could make the same argument with receiver. I just saw he had Marv and Jamar, so I went with Price.
Yeah, I mean his receiver room is good. Like he has Chase, JMO, Marv, Christian
JMO too.
Watson.
Yep.
Like Jake has receivers. I just had him taking Lemon because of he's on the Eagles, and that would give Jake that Hurts Lemon stack,
Oh,
which could be appealing to him. And like I know, like again, people's opinions change. Jake told me at one point he liked having just the one running back when it was Kamara. Maybe he likes just having the one running back with Scatabo now. So I could definitely see him taking Price there though. Jake's another bit of a wild card. The only first round pick he's made was Marv. And I mean Marv was a pretty consensus 102 or 103 that year, 102. So don't really know exactly what Jake's gonna do yet. Then yeah, I had Beans taking Price at 6. You have Beans taking Ty Simpson. So at least for like same reasons you said earlier, like Price getting that first round capital, I think's good. Could see him taking Concepcion maybe, but I think Price being a running back and Beans has a bit more of a need at running back. I had him going Price.
makes sense. With Simpson, it's more he's I'm not gonna rule JJ McCarthy out quite yet, but I would bet against him for sure. Um, I think Cam Ward's gonna be fine. I don't think Justin Fields, he might start the season a game or two while Mahomes comes back, but I know Bean sees value in first round quarterbacks, at least historically. Um, this just felt like a safe Beans pick. I think he could go Lemon too, but Simpson going 13 does speak to what someone in that building thinks highly of him for sure.
hmm Yeah, I mean, if Beans take, yeah, like we saw Beans take last year, he took Cam Ward at 4 when like quarterback wasn't really need on paper for him with both Fields and JJ going into the season with Lamar. The year before that, he took JJ at, I think that was 12. He took him.
I
Uh,
think so. It was late first for sure.
yeah, so I mean, Beans has taken quarterbacks in the first round each of the last 2 years. Would not be shocked if he took another one here. Then yeah, we both had 7. I think Shrew would love to get Jadarian Price, considering the state of his running back room. I think it's like Tony Pollard's RB1 right now, and then uh, that might be it in terms of
Yeah.
starting running backs on Shrew's team at the moment. But
Who's the backup in Miami that they drafted? He's not a starter.
Ollie
He doesn't
Gordon.
count. Yep, yep.
Yikes. The Dolphins' backup running back is RB2, huh? It's kind of bleak.
Maybe
Oh,
Shrew would be wise to trade 7 for a running back.
yeah, or trading up to get to lock in Price too.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I haven't taken Concepcion. Maybe again, Browns receiver, maybe Watson starts. But also, like Concepcion, if I don't have him taking a quarterback at 2, probably don't have him taking Simpson at 7. That's kind of what my thought process was. And sure, just like needs help at the flexes. Like he had like his receiver room, which I thought was pretty good on paper last year, ended up being not so hot. I mean, he still has neighbors, still has Garrett Wilson. Travis Hunter's looking like a maybe not a receiver anymore. And then there's someone else on his team I know I'm missing. But yeah, I just remember like what looked like a really good receiver. Oh, he traded away AJ Brown is the one I was thinking of. So yeah, what I thought was going to
Yep,
be a good
understood.
receiver room probably could use some more reinforcements. So yeah, that's why I have Concepcion. I'm guessing that's why you have Lemon.
Yep, and for me, it's just because Lemon drops. I haven't heard good things about Lemon's character, but USC receivers tend to actually produce really well in fantasy. So to me, it sort of evens it out. He's clearly a top 3 receiver in this class. Um, And then with the next pick, kind of the same thing with Concepcion. I mean, Chaz could take a flex. Chaz could take anything, probably other than tight end, because he has Trey. But, Concepcion was the next name on the board, and Cleveland did take him in the first, so there's value there. I just
Hmm.
don't know much more about him than that.
Yeah, he transferred from NC State to Texas A&M, and I think he was pretty good early on at NC State. That's really all I know about Concepcion, though. I'm not gonna pretend like I know a ton about him. But yeah, I mean, I had Concepcion off the board already, and then like again, looking at teams picking between 6 through 12 right now, it's Beans, Shrew, Chaz, and Sokol. If you were to go on KTC and look at the top four most valuable dynasty tight ends, it's probably McBride, Bowers, Loveland, Tyler Warren. Those are the four teams that have them in that in this range of picks right now. And so it's hard to say any of them are going to take a tight end. Uh, yeah, like I have Chaz taking Simpson just because like he probably doesn't have a long-term QB3 right now. I mean, he has Darnold and Baker. He traded Geno this offseason. So I see him taking Simpson as a stash, but that's I don't know. Like here, that's I just don't see him taking Sadiq or Omar Cooper over Simpson. Simpson's there.
I think it's a dream landing spot for Simpson to fall to Chaz.
Hmm. Yeah, we both have Sokol taking Sadiq at 9. Sokol, I mean, he just probably takes who he thinks is the best player available here. He got pretty good draft capital. I know he's a freak athlete. Sokol started two tight ends before, and it's not really bothered him. So I just see him taking Sadiq and just being fine with it.
That's sort of my thought process. I mean, I really like Warren and think Warren could fill a flex. So why not at this point? Sadiq's supposed to be pretty high value.
Hmm. Yeah, and then here at 10 and 11, we have uh, Omar Cooper and Denzel Boston going. So yeah, this is an interesting one for Shrew, especially. Like at least in my mock, it goes this way. If he takes Concepcion, he'd have one Browns receiver, and then his choice would between be another Browns or Jets receiver, which sounds so gross saying that out loud. But that would also give him either two Browns or two Jets receivers, regardless. And so, yeah, with my mock, it's kind of pick your poison, I suppose. With yours, you haven't taken Boston. Which,
Just
again,
happened to be the poison.
yep. Yeah, I mean Boston and Cooper. I mean, yeah, Cooper went 40th overall. No, Cooper went 28th, 30th. Cooper went 30th overall to the Jets. Boston went 40th to the Browns. Feel like that's just take your pick of which archetype you like more. I think Boston's more of that traditional X, where Omar Cooper is more of a like Z flanker type. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, just take whichever one you like more. And then Beans at 12. I think this is where the draft's really going to get interesting. I haven't taken Stribling here because I think that's just following the draft capital. The 49ers took him 33rd. They obviously think pretty highly of him. I think that's probably the best player available. You have a joke one here of Diego Pavia.
I do. I don't actually mean that. Um, I think I think his name's Kalen Black, who went third round of the Niners.
Hmm.
That is probably who I'd pick at this point. But the Pavia there is more a nod to how like I don't know if you call it a drop off or a flat tier. I just couldn't tell you. I'd go off draft capital at this point in theory.
Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of where I was at too, with Stribling. It's just like, I mean, Jeremy Bernard maybe is also a second round receiver. But also, like, I have like one of my hot takes right now is like the way the draft looks now is not going to be the way it ends up being during our fantasy season, or the way we're projecting now won't be the way it ends up. Someone's going to get buzzed up. I think a Dolphins receiver, one of the ones they drafted in the third round, I would not be shocked to see one of them get a lot of camp hype and move up our draft board. Like that's probably like that's an example of something I think could happen, or like maybe one of those like mid-round running backs moves up the draft board just from again having camp hype.
Hmm.
Like we've seen it happen a few times. I mean, Trevor in the startup took Pacheco and Damian Pierce very early for both of them. Ended up working for the year one. Not necessarily great long-term investments, but nonetheless
He
helped
got
them
a
out the first
first for
year.
Damian Pierce.
Sure did. Got Matthew Stafford for Isaiah Pacheco. Good job, Trevor. Wow,
Wow.
saying that out loud.
Yeah.
But like even like last year, like Chaz took Bill in the second round. Like in my other dynasty league, Bill was undrafted and wasn't even claimed off of waivers until a few weeks after the draft. And then like he took Tesla in the second round. Tesla was like barely draftable last year, and yeah, April, May when startups or when my rookie other draft was happening. And then like I know Shrew took Keandre Lambert Smith because he was being hyped up quite a bit for the Chargers last preseason. So like there's gonna be someone who's hyped up and might end up being that 112. If I had to pick today, it's probably Stribling because of the draft capital, or maybe it's Kalen Black for being a running back. Tough to say right now though. Like I feel pretty good about like the top 11 probably being the top 11, and then starting at 12, I think is where it's gonna get really interesting.
Mhm. Agreed. That's what I got.
Yeah. All right. That's all I have for you all today. Levi, you have any closing thoughts you want to share?
How long do we have?
I mean, we have 8 minutes, so I mean,
Oh,
if
okay.
you really want to ramble, you can. I just don't have
Oh
any
no, I
minutes.
won't. I just didn't want to know if we had, I want to know if we had like 20 seconds. Uh, I am not planning on keeping 101. Like I said earlier, I do plan to trade it, or I would be very comfortable taking Love, but I do not plan to actually keep it. So I expect to get some offers in the next few months, and with that being said, I never do what I say I'm going to do. So who knows? Maybe I'll keep it. I just wanted to advertise for the effort of being on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Man,
you know what? I do want to say one more thing. Congratulations, Corn. I won't be able to give you the title in person, but I'd like to eventually get a picture for the history books of the handoff.
all right. Yeah, maybe one of the next upcoming weekends, I'll drive up to Frankfurt for the weekend, go camping, and we can hand it off.
Word.
So we'll keep in touch about that. Get a good picture of it. So, all right. Yeah, with that, this was Commissioner and reigning champion Andrew Korn, most recent champion before me, Levi Hubbard, signing off. I'll see you all later.
Go Cows.